Alright guys, welcome back, and here we have something new, something I'm excited about. And I have a couple transfer sheets here with what appears to be rocks, all sorts of shapes and sizes. I'm starting a new collaboration with a designer and illustrator I found on Instagram, and his Instagram handle is Made by Joho. His name is Josh, and he's a designer and illustrator in his spare time, I believe. And he makes these daily drawings in his sketchbook of these boulders from his imagination. And he builds up these sketchbook pages, and when it's complete, it looks something like this. I'm actually a rock climber, and I found these to be really interesting and really fun. So I reached out to him, and I asked him if he wouldn't mind collaborating with me on this project. And so here we are, starting of a new project with him. This is going to be a two-color print. There's going to be a black key block, and then there's also going to be a color block. And I was contemplating doing this with oil-based pigments or as a woodcut. So I was looking at a piece of linoleum, but these are very fine lines for the key block, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to carve that in linoleum. I haven't tested out my carving ability to this scale so far. So I'm not going to use linoleum. And then I was thinking about just using a piece of Shina plywood for the key block. And again, I'm not sure if I can hold the detail that's going to involve with these tiny lines. So I'm choosing a nice piece of American cherry here. And I already have the edges marked out. And we're going to glue this down. But I am going to use the Shina plywood for the color block. I made this sheet a little bit darker. So it's this dark gray color which I'll be carving. And that's going to be glued down onto the Shina plywood. After doing that, I probably will run a small edition of woodblock prints with a Mokuhanga style, and then eventually I'll get into some oil pigments and probably print a couple different versions of this with different color schemes, maybe some gradations. So this key block has a border, and I chose these blocks to be a little bit bigger, and I'm actually going to have a margin here that I'm going to leave intact. So if I have to run this through the press, there'll be equal pressure across the whole block surface. So if you can picture this, all these little shapes are carved. There'll be a raised on each side. So it would be a nice even pressure across the whole surface. So I could potentially run this through the press if I'm going to. So I'm excited for this new project. I'm excited to collaborate with a new designer. This is going to be a fun little project. And we'll see how this turns out. I think these prints will go on my website, and they will be available when I'm finished. Start gluing these designs down.